Good morning, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here. Just hanging out in the lab. Been up for a few hours now. And this post is actually something inspired by something I was recording in my journal. And while my journal is personal and private, there are certain things that I can share. And I was writing this morning, and it's just something that I consistently remind myself of. But this morning I was writing, and I wrote it in a way that kind of jiggled me, and it sort of reminded me of my progress as I've moved along in life and how I've grown, how I've matured, how I tend to view things differently as I become older. I'll be 50 years old in a little over 2 months. And so I've definitely grown to see things differently. Definitely grown to value things with a greater intensity than I have in my younger years. You know, my incident last October with my health alerted me for the first time in my life that I wasn't invincible. And it made me start to appreciate things more. Well, what I wrote this morning, like I said, it inspired me to share with you what I'm going to share with you here. And I hope that you can really get this, because one of the things that you see me talking about all the time is grinding. I talk about the fact that there's 86,400 seconds in a day, and how you invest your energy, your effort, your mind, your thoughts into those seconds is going to determine your future, that you're writing out your destiny right now, and that you got to be on the grind. You've probably heard me say that sleeping in to me is getting up at 7 o'clock, and it is. I don't stay in the bed past 7. I'm up most mornings, sometime around 5, sometimes earlier. There are times I'm up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm grinding. But what I want to tell you today is, don't let your grind rob you. Sometimes we get so caught up in chasing our dreams, we forget to nurture the accomplishments that we've already gained. And a lot of times those accomplishments are the most precious part of the journey of the dream. And let me explain to you what I mean. What I wrote this morning in my journal was simply, while working on my dreams, I must make sure that my marriage is at the front of my charge. And what that means is, all of my life, as far back as I can remember, growing up in a house with my great-grandparents and watching their marriage, watch how they worked together, watch how they built together, watching how they held one another up. All I ever wanted to do was be married. Now, I failed at it, but I went and I studied, I learned, I researched, I developed, I grew, and ended up writing the book, When Your House Is Not a Home. And still I hadn't gotten married yet, but that was a dream. So when I finally got married, one of the things that I have to keep reminding myself, because I remember times that I was grinding so hard, chasing things so hard, that I forgot some of the things that were in front of me. You know, sometimes I looked up and I could have been at one of my kids' games instead of in another city trying to make something happen on the financial side or whatever it is I was doing business-wise. And I look at it now, and sometimes the grind will rob you. The grind will have you so focused on what you're pursuing, you lose sight of what you already have. And so I want you to grind, because grind is a part of the process. There's no time for, to me, one of the biggest lies and illusions that has been created that causes us to lose ground is the idea of leisure time. When something is given to you and it's so precious that once you spend it, you can never have it back, there's nothing leisure about that. So how you spend it matters. Every second matters. What are you investing in every second? Now, every second doesn't have to be spent chasing a dollar. To me, the greatest investment I can ever make is into my marriage. And so I have to remind myself all the time, take a little time, go in. Sometimes, you know, when you got two people that's grinding like it is in this house, it is important to take a little time to show a little appreciation, to show a little love, you can easily get caught up. You can easily get frustrated if you're not careful while you're grinding. Because while you're grinding, you're going to meet resistance. You're going to meet frustrations, disappointments, delays. You'll start actually taking those delays out on the things that matter the most, those frustrations out on things that matter the most. And so you have to remind yourself, if I'm not careful, this grind will rob me of the things that are precious to me that I already have. See, I remember growing up as a little kid, as an athlete, and starting to accumulate these trophies from athletics. And I remember how happy I was when I first got it, and how I came home and the medals that would hang around my neck, and I would come home and I wave them in the air and talk about them and everything like that. But it wouldn't be long after I set it on the dresser, on the mantle, or wherever it was being set around the house where my grandmother kept them up until she passed away. She was so proud of them. But where I set them, it wasn't long after setting them up there that I forgot about them and started looking for the next trophy. What you have to understand that there are certain things in your life that you have been able to accomplish and achieve and acquire that aren't trophies. They're a part of the journey. They're a part of the mechanism and the dynamic that makes you better. And you have to be willing to look inside of yourself and examine yourself on a consistent basis and ask, am I keeping those things that are most important at the front of my charge? When I'm grinding and going after my dream, is my marriage in full view, in full sight? And when I'm grinding, am I keeping my children in my mind and in my thoughts, and are they a part of what I'm fighting for, and am I managing it correctly? It's all of these things going on. I don't want you to lose sight of the grind. I don't want you to give up your grind. Your grind is immensely important, but don't allow your grind to rob you of the things that are precious in your life right now. That's it. It's not any more I can add to that, but just really, really take this to heart, because I know, you hear me talk about grind so much. You hear me talk about everything out there. And I want to make sure you understand that there's a way to grind, that you optimize the productivity of your grind. And then there's a way to grind to where you're grinding without purpose and without a sense of direction, and you lose ground, because you're moving around and you're stepping on the things that are actually there to infuse you with power, infuse you with passion, infuse you with purpose, infuse you with a sense of why you're doing it, and you're stepping on it. So be careful. As always, I love you guys, and nothing anybody can do about that. I love you unapologetically. This is my passion. Like I say all the time, I'm on a down E. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Don't waste your time. Don't look up and you've spent a significant part of your time having not done anything of value, either in thought, action, preparation, and purpose. On that note, I'm out of here. Peace.